The views expressed here are those of our hosts and guest speakers and do not represent the Uniformed Services University, the Department of War, or the Henry M. Jackson Foundation for the Advancement of Military Medicine, Incorporated. I'm Mandatory Fun Day, and this is Check Your Six Pack, a veteran podcast done in conjunction with the Center for the Study of Traumatic Stress and Uniformed Services University. Here today, we have some phenomenal guests. Will you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Mary Dague. I was Army EOD for about 5.5 years, and then medically retired after one fun day in Iraq.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited to hear that story. Sir?
Hi, I'm James Cribbett. I'm known mostly for being married to her. but I also spent 20 years on active duty, 16 as EOD.
That's awesome. Oh, okay. So, I mean, do you guys ever, give each other crap for both being EOD? Like, what's the beef in the EOD community that the audience might not know about?
Oh, it's the, I would have done it different.
Oh, I wouldn't have cut that wire kind of thing?
Yeah. Good. But everything that you do, I'd have done it different.
Yeah, that's not how I would have done it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So tell me about how does one decide that they want to disarm bombs for a living?
Well, it starts with being on the spectrum. Sorry.
She's not wrong. She's
Disclaimer. Not wrong. Yeah, I didn't want to be a housewife. And I know that sounds like I'm taking a dig, but no, seriously, that is like one of the hardest jobs and most awesome responsibilities that I can think of. And I am not the person for that job. So I thought disarming bombs would be safer, probably more fun.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
For me, I was already in the Army. I didn't start as an EOD guy. I started as Seaburn. And after a couple of years, I was like, it's not, I didn't like being a Mop 4 for, 12 hours.
Yeah, so you were like, I'd rather mess with something that would murk me instantly instead of something that would, melt your flesh off over the course of a couple hours.
That's fair,
Yeah.
That and the pay was better.
Oh, really? Is there extra pay for being EOD?
Oh, yeah. You get hazard pay.
What? Oh.
There used to be a lot more, actually. For a while, it used to be we had demo pay and then hazard pay. And then special duty pay, which overall, if you were at the highest tier, would come out to well over an extra $1,000 a month.
Wow,
Man.
That's pretty cool. Usually the United States military doesn't dole out that kind of cash. Okay, so did you guys always know that you wanted to join the military, even from when you were young?
Yeah, kind of.
Pretty much.
But I thought I wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then when I went to join, I was like, oh, never mind. I wanted to go into forensics. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, I'll be a MP or CID. I didn't realize that it does not translate at all in civilian life.
Oh, okay. And so the EOD route looked more enticing to you?
Kind of. I didn't know it existed, but they didn't have slots for females for MP or CID when I got there. So they just kind of went down the list. And when they got to EOD, they were like, Explosive Ordnance Disposal. And I was like, what's that, the bomb squad? And the guy's like, no, it's Explosive Ordnance Disposal. Don't get uppity, bro. It's the bomb squad.
That's awesome. So when did you join?
I joined in 2004.
2004. Okay. Wow, it's surprising to me they didn't have slots for females back in 2004 for CID or MPs.
I was under the impression they normally did. They just didn't when I was there.
In that moment?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Which I'm grateful for. Very, very grateful. Because I love DOD. It was one of those, you don't know what you want to be when you grow up, and then you land in something, and you're like, oh, this is it.
Really? You felt you were kind of called to it?
Yeah. Once I got there, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do this till I die.
Wow.
Hopefully.
Really? That's pretty impressive. Where did you join out of?
I joined out of Montana.
Okay.
Really, really tiny town, Superior.
Yeah.
He's seen my high school. My graduating class was 20 kids.
20?
Yeah.
Oh my! It's so funny because I went to a 6A high school, so my graduating class was 600.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, she saw my high school. My graduating class was 440, and when we went there, the gymnasium at my high school was the size of her entire high school.
My entire high school. I was like, oh, is this your high school? He's like, it's the gym. I'm like, well.
So a very small town feel, clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, what was joining the military? I mean, was there some level of I want to get out of here?
Oh yeah, that was part of it. That was a big part of it. But like as a kid, my dad was a Vietnam vet, and he didn't really talk about it all that much. But we knew, and we did have a very, I don't want to say hero worship, but we kind of revered the military.
There's
as,
some
like,
level of deference.
yes, very much.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of a thing. Like as a kid, my dad watched a lot of war movies, so I watched a lot of war movies. I was like, yeah, I want to be a soldier.
What did he do in the military?
He was a fixed wing mechanic.
Oh, very cool.
In the Air Force. But yeah, he jokes that he dodged the draft by joining the Air Force.
Yeah.
But yeah, he kind of shaped my childhood and what I wanted to be.
Sure.
Without ever meaning to.
What did he think about you going EOD?
So I called back from MEPS and like told him, and I was like, so I got Explosive Ordnance Disposal, and my dad goes, that doesn't sound like MP. I'm like, it's not. It's he goes, I know what it is, Mary. Don't tell your mother. I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh! Don't tell your mother. Famous last words. That's awesome. Did you have, through your childhood, did you have people in the military that you looked up to, or was it kind of like, did you make that decision, absent anything else, any influence?
It was really just me kind of out of the blue. I didn't actually find out till after I had joined that my grandfather and great-grandfather had both served.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And my dad, it wasn't in his cards. So, yeah, when I joined in high school, it was like, I was looking at it, and it was about 6 months after Iraq had kicked off. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it was on my mind. So they called, and I was like, yeah, I'll look at it. And then I signed up.
Where'd you join out
of? Mesa, Arizona. So I grew up in the middle of Phoenix. And, yeah, no, it was just me and my parents. I was an only child and my best friend. So
Sure. Yeah, okay. And so, I mean, what was the culture surrounding military service in Phoenix?
We didn't really have a lot of it. I grew up in a big Mormon community.
Really?
And really kind of the expectation was that when you were of age that you would put in your papers and you would go on your mission.
Yeah.
And so really when 9/11 kicked off, it didn't really change much for that community. And so when I turned and I started looking at the military, I started getting a lot of hard questions from the religious leaders. And yeah, so it was a respected thing, but it wasn't really...
It wasn't the focus in your community.
Yeah. It wasn't really something that happened a whole lot. Like there wasn't a whole lot of people out of my community that joined up.
Okay. And so for a mission, that's 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. And they just pick where you go?
Usually, yeah. You would put in your paperwork, you would get your calling, and they would normally tell you like, hey, where are you going to go? And from there on, you would go up to Utah to the Missionary Training Center and go through your training there before you shipped off.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. And when do you find out where you go?
I'm not sure. I didn't go through the process, but I think you find out. I don't know if you find out while you're at the Missionary Training Center or beforehand. I'd have to ask some of my friends.
Okay, that's really, really interesting. Yeah, I have friends that grew up in the LDS church, and hearing about their experiences on their mission, always very interesting. Okay, so where'd you go to basic?
I went to basic in Fort Leonard Wood.
Nice.
I hated that place. That was terrible.
Okay, so you make it through basic training, and then how long was the pipeline for EOD?
So typically it's around, I think, 7 to 9 months. It kind of depends. I was there for about a year.
Okay.
First I got run over by a taxi and tore my Achilles tendon and had to wait for that to repair. And then I got tackled playing football and I broke the capsule of my elbow. And yeah, so I had to wait for that to heal. So yeah, that was...
So it extended you out a little bit, but academically you did okay?
Mostly. I failed 3 tests through all of EOD school. And basically what it is, you have to have an 85 to pass. Mm-hmm. There are very many 16-point hits. So it's an automatic failure. You get 1 retest, and then you go to what is called an academic review board if you fail that second one.
Sure.
I failed 3. I double tapped 2, and then I disputed a test and won, I guess you'd say.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was the dispute over?
It was about the tools that we had available. There was a specific tool that you're meant to use for an RSP, a render safe procedure, on one device, and we did not have that available. So I got clearance from the instructor to use something different. The tool that I ended up having to use had a technical malfunction.
Oh, really?
Yes. And what it caused is what caused a 16-point hit. So I disputed that and was able to prove that if I had had the right tool, I would have used it. I even said it. They wrote it in the notes. So I ended up winning and getting back into class.
Wow, that's really interesting. Yeah. Well, so how did you do throughout the pipeline for EOD?
Well, I kind of start off with the home life there. I made the wonderful choice when I went to EOD school of marrying a woman I had known for about a month and a half.
Ah, so classic military.
I actually didn't do terrible in that, other than the fact that I had to file for divorce in the middle of EOD school about 6 months after I got married. But yeah, I made it most of the way through without a whole lot of issues. I think I only failed in IEDs, and I had to go back and do it again.
Wow. Okay, so you failed in IEDs. So what are the different sections of the pipeline? So you've got an IED section, obviously. I mean, is it like landmines? Like, how does this go?
Yes, actually. You start with your basics, learning like your demolition procedures, your fuse functioning and safety. So like your different just methods, the way ordnance works, tools and methods, which is the tools that you use to disarm things.
Sure.
And then you get into reconnaissance, ground ordnance, air ordnance. Then you go to IEDs. Then you would do
BC.
biochem, and then WMDs.
But this is all in phase 2. Most services have a first phase. I think the only one that doesn't is Marines.
Okay.
Yeah, Marines, they do.
I mean, they can't count that high.
Well, they do OJT, and it's normally like a mixed bag of whether they get a good OJT or they just get made the coffee at their whatever unit they're OJTing at.
For any Marines watching this, don't get upset because you know it's true. So you go through the different sections. You get it sounds like 2 real chances to pass every test, and then you got a third chance that you can kind of argue, which is that's pretty typical for military schools. At least, I was Army, or I am Army, and so like that's
Army.
And so that's pretty typical. So first duty station, what did that look like for you guys?
Mine was Lewis.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I guess now it's JBLM, but for me it was Fort Lewis.
Sure.
I loved it. I couldn't have asked for a better one, especially because when I got there, it was a 13-man unit. We call them legacy companies now, but very small. A whole lot of hands-on training.
Is that all EOD techs, or is that part of that 13-man crew? Is that like your S1, your different?
Oh, no, that's you have them as well. But
Really?
we only had I think 4 at the time. We had mechanic, one like admin guy, a chem guy, and a supply guy.
Wow, so that's got to be a very, very tight-knit group.
Oh yeah. Well, and then we ended up beefing up right before the deployment. We went up to 44-man company.
Oh wow.
It was a lot. It was kind of like a trickle, and then it was just a fire hose. So I think a month before we left, we got 6 dudes in. Like, it was like, all right, come on, we got to go do a range day so you can learn everything. But it was, I don't know, it was awesome. It's intimate. It's fun. You learn a lot, and you either love or hate the guy next to you.
Sure.
And it works out in the end with like who you're going to be paired up with your teams and whatnot. Because we work in small man, 2 to 3 man teams.
Okay. And that's what you would take out like on mission.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
You're working with that team, maybe not exclusively, but most of the time. You might get switched off if somebody gets hurt or sick or something.
Yeah.
Or they just need to rotate somebody in a position.
Yeah, sometimes that happens too.
Okay.
You just 2 guys might not work well together, or they might have just been together for too long. You don't want them to get complacent.
Sure. That makes sense. Okay, and so everybody that I know that has dealt with this kind of stuff, that is not EOD, you know, how often is like, do you use the robot versus you're actually the one, like a human's disarming the bomb?
You're going to try to use the robot as often as possible.
Yeah.
Anything that's going to give you some sort of remote access or standoff is what you're going to go with first.
Sure.
But if you can't, then.
And what is the determining factor on whether you can't or not?
Time,
Yep.
time, threat, like the terrain a lot of the time. So like you'll have stuff in a ditch. Like there's places you just can't get a robot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or there's some places that you just can't carry a robot. So if I'm dismounted all day, I can't carry a robot.
Oh, you're carrying it on your back.
Sometimes.
But sometimes it's like, all right, well.
How much does that thing weigh?
The lightest one we had, I think if you had it all together, was like 30 pounds in the pack.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
that wasn't terrible. That was like our small pack bot.
The batteries are the worst part.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because they're radio
bulky.
batteries.
Yeah.
So you had like your rechargeable lithiums, and they are, whoever's carrying that robot is going to be
Sucking.
just beat up because it's 30 pounds on top of everything else.
Yeah.
And it's awkward. Like it's got the treads, the tracks, and they're just they wing out just far enough that it's uncomfortable to
There's
grab.
just no good way to pack it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you could avoid it, if you're dismounted, you will. But again, it kind of depends on what your op is, like
Sure.
what you're going out to. You kind of got to determine your loadout before you go based on what you're doing.
Sure. Okay, so Mary, you kind of alluded to it, but can you tell us the story?
Yeah. I'll try to do the condensed version. So we've been in country almost a year, 11 months and 4 days, actually. I was studying for the E5 board. I had basically been told you are going to be E5 before we leave country, because I'd been kind of pushing back on it. I wanted to get a deployment under my belt.
Sure.
So I was in my little pod studying, which is just, they're single wide trailers that are like split in 3. And we got a call for an IED, and I was actually pretty grateful because I think it was like day 3 of us being on call with nothing. So I was just in my hot trailer, just reading the driest material ever. And the infantry had found this IED, and like we knew by the grid coordinate that it was at the school. There was a little elementary school for kids that 2-5 Cav was basically running security for.
Oh wow.
Because they were letting little girls and such go to school there, so the Taliban did not like that. We knew where it was. Happens all the time, but they told us that it was an IED they had found out driving around somewhere, and they had it in the back of their vehicle, and we're like just driving around with it, and we're like, okay. And this is coming from the Iraqi army, so we're like, tell them to take it to FOB Constitution. It was attached to Liberty,
Yeah.
like through a gate. We wouldn't even have to really leave the base. We just drive through a gate, and we're on the Iraqi base.
Were they not sure if it was live or not?
No, I don't think they understood at all what they had. They knew it was explosive, but they were not the most intelligent of people. I try to be as nice as I can, but it was real dumb. Especially knowing now what we know. But we'll get there, foreshadowing. So we tell them, hey, bring it to this base. There's a demo range on that base. We can blow it up. No big deal. No, they didn't. That was a bad plan to them. So the good plan to them was to bring it to the parking lot in between the children's school and what we called the Taliban apartments. They were like 3-story ghetto apartments.
Yeah.
That the Taliban would put IEDs in the school. We would respond, and they would ambush us from the apartments. Which was not very effective, but like clockwork. So we were very much like, okay, we're getting ambushed today. Here we go. So we drive back in, and we have to kind of like serpentine in between these buildings, and they've got all these like really low hanging wires and everything. And of course we've got all of the everything on top of the jerv, the antennae, the gyro cam, our turret that we had built up. It's not an easy place to get into or quick. And it's also very compact.
Sure.
So we had to kind of L-shape the convoy.
Okay.
And even that was like, there's no 300 meters or 100 meter standoff. It is right there. So because I was being promoted, I was also doing basically on the job field testing for my team leader certs. So my team leader would go down, assess the situation, then he would call me down like, all right, Mary, run the problem. What are you going to do? So he goes down there. We know it's not booby trapped because, well, the Iraqi army's just been
Carrying it around.
Yeah. So he goes down, he yells to me, like, bring trash bags. And I'm like, all right. So I hop out, took my earplugs out, set them on the seat. Doesn't really matter because they were 3M and useless anyway. So that would have been the same. For whatever reason, Bruce and I, my team leader, we both left our doors open. And I cannot explain that because that is not something any of us ever did. In fact, you're very much told not to do that.
Really? Why?
Because you don't want to leave it open and something gets kicked off and then all of a sudden you've got blast through your truck.
Sure.
Like that, or if you've got anything in there and it takes weapon fire, you've just damaged your radio or whatever you've got.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we hop out. I go grab trash bags, bring them down to Bruce, and we just start like hand scooping this homemade explosive out of it into the bags. We kind of had to because the fuse that they had put into it, they fed it up through the bottom and then put a big lug on around it, like screwed it in there and then welded that on there. Really dumb and really ballsy, but it worked.
I'm assuming because over the course of welding it, it could have gone off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then it just would have been a hunk of metal. They had cut down one of their light poles and chunked it into sections because their light poles are just hollowed out steel. The HME inside was one that we found everywhere. It's the urea nitrate. It's disgusting. Made with urea. But we know it on site at this point because it's easy for them to make and they use it all the time. So that's what we think we're scooping out into the trash bag. I bring that back up to Mick, my teammate. He was playing Trunk Monkey. Basically, he does all the tools, builds the shot, runs the robot. He puts it away. I go back down for the cap, bring it back up, put it in the cap pig, come back down, get the device, like throw it up on my shoulder. And we're with an infantry squad that we've been working with basically since the beginning. We've got a really good rapport with these guys, so we're joking around. We're all kind of like, we haven't been shot at. That's nice. It's a nice day. And they're making fun of Mick and I because I've just thrown this large IED up on my shoulder and I'm walking back and Mick is this just burly dude. And so they're like, oh, you're going to let that little girl carry that big bomb? And I'm like flipping them all the bird, like, you guys. And I get the device back up to the truck and I lay it down and I go to like fix my weapon because it had another oddity. I had taken my neck guard off and clipped it where the crotch guard goes as a joke. So I didn't have the neck guard and my sling was actually choking me because of it. So I like lean over and I'm adjusting my weapon and I look back up and the device is just kind of rocking. And I remember going, no, you don't. And I grabbed it and it detonated. I got very lucky in several ways. So Bruce and I left the doors open. Mick also left the turret open. So the blast channeled out all those paths.
Wow.
And into me. But I didn't get all of it.
Sure.
And that's very important. It also sympathetically detonated the bag of explosives that I'd brought up to Mick that was sitting next to it. And that blast threw me before all the frag could just fillet me.
Wow.
and it delivered me to my medic, like threw me into his Humvee. So it's like, here you go, buddy.
That was kind.
Yeah. So it kicks off, and I'm like, everything slows down like snail's pace. But it feels like it's all moving fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's all black, and it's like being inside of a church bell. It's so loud. It's quiet. And I hear this.
So do you remember everything?
Oh yeah, but it's a little bit out of order.
Sure.
Like after talking to the guys, my medic and my teammates, I know the order now. But if I were to tell you like my memory of it jumps around. So I hit the Humvee. And I'd heard this woman like screaming and screaming and screaming. And I just remember thinking like, someone shut that up. And I hit the Humvee and I take a breath and the screaming stops. And I was like, oh, it was me. Oh, my bad. Like, sorry. And I'm laying there telling myself like, all right, I'm good. It just rung my bell. I'm fine. Like I'm still thinking, still breathing. I taste copper, so I'm still alive. But don't look down. So I keep my eyes closed, and I hear like shuffling around me, and I hear dudes yelling, but I know they're saying words, but it's not words to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's not English. And then I hear Bruce next to me like, Mary, are you okay? And I was like, Bruce, are you okay? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, where's Mick? Because Mick was in the truck. And like in my head, I'm like, he's dead. I killed him.
Yeah.
Like there's no way around that. And he's like, he's right here. He's fine. And I was like, okay, well, what about? And he's like, Mary, shut up. It's just you. And I was like, okay, it's just me. Okay. So my medic's there, and he's like, he removes my glasses, and I remember everything got bright. He says I looked at him, but I don't remember like having my eyes open.
Really?
Like I remember it getting bright and just being like, no, like don't look down. And
you keep saying don't look down. Is that like
Oh, it's basically it's how I equated the training from CLS, Combat Lifesaver. You never want to look at your injuries.
Sure.
And don't let the patient look at their injuries because they'll go into shock.
Gotcha.
So don't look down. So he tells me, like my medic, Nick, Doc was like, hey, I have to cut your clothes off. I have to see where all the blood's coming from. And I was like, okay. So I'm laying there, and they're cutting my clothes off, and I'm trying to like maneuver to help them. I still don't know the extent of my injuries. And at one point I'm there in my bra and my underwear, and I feel that the scissors go underneath my underwear strap. And then I hear Bruce go, dude, you don't got to cut those off. And the kids are like, oh, I'm sorry. And I start like giggling, and I'm like, oh God, don't make me laugh.
Yeah.
But he got so like overexcited. So then they're like, all right, we have to put you on the hardboard. The medevac's coming. I'm like, okay. So I kind of roll, and they scooted underneath me, and I'm like, I'm doing my best to help. They put the little space blanket on me, and they put me on top of the Humvee, and we start maneuvering out, and I can feel it, but I'm still like eyes slammed shut. And Doc was gracious enough to cover me with like some whatever bandage he had. And he's like, all right, Mary, I gave you morphine. And it didn't hit yet, but I remember like thinking like, thank God, like thank you. And we had one of the guys, he kept asking me, my call sign was Honey Bucket. Exactly like the Porta-Johns.
That's so funny.
He kept going, Honey Bucket, are you okay? And I kept going, yeah. And then about the fifth or sixth time, Bruce goes, dude, she's talking to me. She's fine. He's like, okay, Honey Bucket. I'm like, good, man. Thanks for checking on me. So they load me up. I hear the bird come in, and they're like, all right, Mary, it's here. You're going. And I was like, because, that's when you know. Like, medevac's coming in. I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
Like, leaving them to fight without me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard. That's the worst part. But they're like, all right, Mary, you're going to be okay. And I was like, yeah, I am. And Bruce is basically saying goodbye. And I remember going, Bruce. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to be okay. And I'm like trying to yell over the helicopter, but also like, I'm pretty tired. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I know. And I was like, no, dude, I'm going to be okay. And he's like, okay. So they put me on the bird and get me all padded in. And we start flying, towards the cache in Baghdad. And partway through, like the whole time, I'm just thinking, like, don't go to sleep. Don't die. Just stay awake. Don't go to sleep. Don't die. Just over and over. And then the crew chief comes up and he's like, are you okay? And I remember thinking, like, I'm strapped to this board, dude. Do you want from me a thumbs up? Like, yes. Like, try to nod to him. And he's like, okay. They land. They pull me off the medevac. And one of the doctors goes, all right, Mary, you're going to be okay. We got you. And that was one thing I remember too. It was odd. Like, nobody ever said my last name, probably because it's hard to pronounce if you just read it. Mm-hmm. But I remember the doctor going, okay, Mary, you're going to be okay. We got you. And like, that was strangely personal, but thank you. And that's when I actually let myself go to sleep. Mm-hmm. I woke up once in Baghdad for like half a minute. I remember seeing my ex-husband and then falling back asleep. And then I woke up in Germany, and that's when I found out about my arms.
Wow. So that was the first time. And how long was it between when it happened and you getting to Germany?
I think 14 hours.
Wow. So 14 hours later, that's when you first realized, like...
Yeah. Like, I had a kind of a thought about it when they were first divesting me. They took off my flak vest, and I had put that kit on 3-4 times a day and taken it off. Uh-huh. I mean, for almost a year. I knew what it felt like. Mm-hmm. And when they took it off, it was so fast. And I remember thinking that was too quick. But then I was like, no, it's just in my head. It's the adrenaline. It's messing with time. You do things to cope, to like talk yourself out of it, to stay from losing your mind.
Sure.
Because if you go into shock, that's a death sentence.
Right. So you're in Germany, and it's now the first time you realize that you no longer have arms. Mm-hmm. I mean, what? Tell us how you felt.
So I woke up and like they had me covered up to the shoulders in that, the little white hospital blanket that's like super thin and does nothing. And I kind of looked over. My ex-husband was like sitting in a chair just off to my left. And I looked down and I like lifted my left arm and I was like, oh, that one's gone. And I looked to my right and I lifted that one. I was like, oh, it's even shorter.
It's even shorter. I probably shouldn't laugh about that.
No, it's
is that really what you thought?
Yeah, no, that's. I actually said it out loud, and so my ex-husband was like sitting there, and he's like, and I was like.
And was your ex-husband also a service member?
Yes.
Is that why he was there with you?
Yes.
Okay.
So, he was part of 2-5 Cav. He was their battalion supply.
Oh wow.
We just happened to be supporting 2-5 Cav.
Sure.
So when we got there, our team and one other team was fragged out to Liberty Victory. The rest of the unit went down to Dague. But they fragged us out so that I could live with my husband at the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was the first time we would get to live together as a married couple. We were
on
geo-bachelor. Yep. Yeah.
That's
like, time.
Oh man, that's awesome.
But it was kind of doubly. So about a month before I deployed and a month after he deployed, his little brother was killed in action. So when that happened, they came in, relieved him of his weapon, told him, your little brother's been killed in action. You have to escort his body home. We're sending you home. Those same guys came in, relieved Jared of his weapon, and then told him, your wife's been blown up. We don't think she's going to make it. We've got a convoy ready to take you to the cache to go say goodbye. Because nobody thought I was going to live. They got him there. He stayed with me the rest of the way. And then, yeah, he returned home early from that deployment with me. And basically he got out and then went into National Guard or something. Mm-hmm. But I look over at him and I was like, is everybody okay? And he was like, what? And I was like, is everybody else, are they okay? And he's like, mostly, yeah, for the most part. And I was like, all right, then I'm okay. And it didn't really hit me until about 10 days in, when they realized like I hadn't gone to the bathroom basically the entire time I had been in the hospital.
Oh.
And they were like, oh crap, you have to go or you will go septic. Mm-hmm. So they pumped me full of laxatives and they gave me a bedpan, and I tried. I really did. I cannot go in a bedpan.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a mental block, but like 4 hours later, I was like, just let me go into the bathroom. And I finally convinced them to like hook me up to one of the wheelie stands and wheel me in there, and finished. And then I'm all bandaged up, and I realized like, how am I going to wipe?
Yeah.
And it crushed me.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I actually like cried from my injuries. Like I cried when I realized I wasn't going back, and I was leaving the guys.
Right.
But that was more of, it felt more of like a failure.
Yeah.
This.
Like a stark realization, now my life is different.
Yes. And with the not being able to wipe was like such a kick in my pride.
Yeah.
I was a bomb tech.
Yeah.
I was doing the coolest of cool guys in war. And I didn't ask for help. Mm-hmm. It was kind of a point of pride with me. I was going to figure it out. Like, I was strong. I was capable.
Sure.
Independent.
Given the time period that this was, I mean, was there some aspect of you're a female and you're an EOD tech and like, you need to prove yourself? Was that ever a part of the dynamic?
Yes, in the very beginning, but not in the way that most people think.
Sure.
So I was the first female that the 707th ever had.
Wow.
So it comes with a certain level of responsibility.
Yeah.
You end up representing two groups in that. But I had to work with those guys.
Yeah.
So I realized I'm coming in, and that just me being a female is going to shift that whole dynamic. Whether I am one way or another, they're going to have certain expectations of what I'm going to be because I'm a female. Mm-hmm. And the commander at the time was an idiot, and basically briefed the whole unit the day I got there, like, okay guys, like now that we have a female here, there's going to be no more grabbing, no more joking around, no more sexist jokes, we're not going to be swearing. And I was like, I swear my is a comma. I swear a lot, man. The other thing is, like, you have to have, at least for me, humor is a coping mechanism. Mm-hmm. And that tends to be the same with a lot of EOD techs. I'm not going to say it's like completely service-wide in the military, but it is kind of a big thing in the military.
Right.
Even drill sergeants, when they're screaming at you, will be hilarious.
Right, yeah.
It's a thing.
You got to have some thick skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
be willing to laugh at yourself at a minimum.
Sure, especially given what you guys did.
Yeah. And you have to be able to lob it back. So if I'm getting a sexist joke lobbed at me, I'm going to lob a sexist joke right back.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to make sure we're on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with my teammates. You know, these are guys that we have to have enough trust in each other that we can have nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
And so I was very amplified version of myself, where I was more crass, more vulgar.
Mm-hmm.
I told more raunchy jokes, very self-deprecating.
Yeah.
And that was like in the beginning. That was in an effort to be like, we are breaking the ice fully.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting past all this awkward things. Like, you all discussed me, I discussed you. Now we can work together. And it was awesome. Of course, there were a couple of guys that we just don't mesh.
Sure.
But that's going to happen with big personalities.
Yep.
So that dynamic was, we ended up doing that again right when we got to Iraq, because now I'm working with a bunch of infantry cats that do not have females in their ranks.
Yeah.
So same thing, they thought it was going to be a little bit softer than it was. They were worried that it was bizarre to me, but they were worried that I was going to be offended if they couldn't stop for me to pee. And I was like, these reeds are like 7 feet tall. I can pee in a reed line, and if not, we'll just cut the top off a bottle. I'll make a funnel, man. We're good. Like, bush broke. We got this. And then I had one mistake on the radio. I thought we were on our convoy net.
Yeah.
We were on the brigade, and one of the guys made a joke about getting Hooters after we found an IED, because we'd been out there for like 3 hours looking for one IED, and you get a little stir crazy. And we finally found it, and Bruce was like, "Hey, I think I see it." And one of the guys was like, "Yeah, let's go out for a beer and wings at Hooters later." And I grabbed the mic and I was like, "Dude, I could totally go for some wings." And he got all sheepish. He was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize, I forgot we had a female with us." And I remember being like, "What?" I was agreeing with you. And then I realized he thought that I was being like, "Hey, I'm still here."
Oh.
And so I grabbed the mic and I was like, "Man, if I had balls, they'd be bigger than yours." And I hung it up, and that was the last I thought of it until we got back. And I walk in, I'm like racking my weapon, and my XO's like, "So, Mary, how big are your balls?" And I'm like, "Aru?" "You heard that?" He goes, "The brigade heard that." And I'm like, "Oh." He's like, "It's okay, you're a girl." I'm like,
Thank you.
You're like,
Yes,
that
and
doesn't make
shut up.
it better.
yeah. It's your superpower. I'm going to take it. Oh, I could have gotten in so much trouble.
Oh, that is so funny. Well, I do want to say, it really is truly a reflection of your character that during this time, and I'm referring to when you realized you no longer have arms, that your first thought was to check on the people that you served with. That's pretty incredible. And then I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a grieving or a mourning process for you? And what did that look like?
It's hills and valleys. A lot of it would come down to the times when I felt the most burdensome.
Mm-hmm.
When I had to ask for help with things that I should be able to do, as an adult. Or the times where I would try to do something the way I used to. I grieved not being able to play volleyball, of all things.
Really?
So I loved it. I brought 2 volleyballs with me to Iraq. One that was just like a little palm size one, and then a regular one.
Well, it's something that like normal people would take for granted.
Yeah, and it's funny also. Probably 2 or 3 weeks before I got blown up, we were all just around the smoke pit, talking about the sky or whatever, and we got onto how we all want to die, and it's just what we do.
Classic military conversation.
I mean, and all of us are like, pink mist. I don't want to feel anything. Just gone. It's someone else's problem now. Like, and Mick goes, man, if I lost a leg, just put 2 in me. And I was like, I don't know, man. I could lose a leg. They got some pretty kick prosthetic legs, but if I lost my arms, game over, man. Pull the plug. Like straight up. So I'm in the hospital, and Bruce calls me from Iraq, like, hey, how you doing? We're talking. He goes, you know, you jinxed yourself, right? And I'm like, what? And he tells me that story again, and I was like, you know, it would be like the end of the world if my arms just like spontaneously grew back. He's like, it doesn't work like that. I could try. But there were little odd things, like a buddy came to visit me in the hospital and was like, bro, we should go get mani-pedis. And he was like, Mary? I'm like, pedis. Like, asked my sister for my PSP, and she was like, honey, I'm like, my games. Like, that one hurt. But then I learned to play with my feet, so we're good now.
Which is really impressive.
Oh, the nerd knows no limits.
That's awesome. Okay, so over this, over you recovering from this, that's kind of when some of these substance issues started. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'm going to spoil it real quick by saying, weirdly, I've never had substance abuse issues when it comes to painkillers or drugs.
Sure.
And that is because my very first interaction outside of the hospital. So to get to the Warrior Transition Battalion, the WTB, from the hospital, you have to go out through these outdoor barracks that are kind of like single-story apartments. There's a big outdoor hallway kind of that like splits in between all of the doors and then goes out to like this kind of a quad almost. But my ex-husband and I were walking through there to go meet my platoon sergeant for the first time. And this kid just steps out of his room. I think he was just going to smoke or whatever. And he sees me and he's like, hey, you're new. And I go, yeah. And he's like, do you have any of your Percocet with you? I'll give you $15 a pill. And I was like, no, I didn't bring it. Sorry. And he's like, oh, it's okay. Just when you bring it, or he's like, when you come back, make sure you bring it, and then I'll pay you then for it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, the ex and I like walk away, and I remember like looking at him and being like, I will never be like that. No.
Yeah.
But it was a terrifying thought, because you're looking at this dude, and he's not like what I pictured as
A drug addict.
Yeah. He wasn't like gangly and strung out and missing teeth,
Yeah.
And he still looked like he worked out, like he was a soldier.
Right.
And you're seeing this like level of addiction that it's like you see a shell of a person.
Yeah.
And you actually realize that you're looking at a shell of a person. And at the time when I first got injured in the hospital, of course, I was on like ketamine and hydromorphone, like every drug known to man. When I got out, I was still on, I think I was taking initially something like 40 pills 3 times a day.
Oh my God.
And then they whittled that down to 37. So that was nice.
We still have the list of her medications. It's about 3 pages long.
Really?
Just single line.
Wow.
It's insane. And it was stuff that I didn't even like have to ask for. I would, every month I had a meeting with the PA who did all the medications. He would ask me about my pain, which was largely unchanged, and just re-prescribe everything. And it was Percocet, Valium, Vicodin, Oxycontin, hydromorphone. For a bit, I was on morphine, gabapentin, it starts with an N, Robaxin, like just the list goes on. I'd been on all of it. And at the same time. Like I'm a walking husk. Barely had any emotions. Things that I never would have allowed in my life, I let happen. I took what is basically just emotional abuse and manipulation from my ex. There was a lot of stuff that I let slide. But also things that I couldn't really control. So for a while I was on steroids. I had to have an ear surgery. While they were going in, they ended up nicking a nerve in my skull that released Bell's palsy in my body and paralyzed half my body.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I had to tape my eyes shut at night, and I couldn't smile because half my face would droop. And I smile all the time. Like even on the medevac home, I was like, "Hey guys, is that a beer?" Like I was just so like bubbly, and they're like, "You can't smile," and I'm like, "What?" And then I'd see myself in the mirror like, "Hey," like it was so bad.
Yeah.
But they put me on steroids, and man, muffins are so tasty on steroids. I don't know if you know this, but steroids are MSG for everything. I got so fat. But it was stuff that and I stopped working out. I stopped doing any sort of like self-care. And I just kind of slept all the time.
Yeah.
And it was just, I became this shell of a person. I wasn't drinking at the time because I did when the guys first got back. I drank. My team leader got home. His wife left him while he was en route. So we picked him up, drove him to my dad's. My dad wanted to thank him for saving my life, so we all tied one on. And my sister, very heavy-handed bartender, made me 11 White Russians. Dude, to this day, I can't even smell them. I'm like, it's so bad. But yeah, after that, I did not drink the entire time I was on the medication. And that was why. So after a year and a half of being on all these drugs, I just stopped taking them. I whittled it down. I think there were 4 that I stayed on. It was the Valium, the Ambien, the gabapentin, there was one more, but I don't remember what it was. But it wasn't a hardcore painkiller. It was a nerve painkiller. They don't operate the same as opioids.
Oh, okay.
But I stopped taking all the opioids, and I went in for my monthly to see my PA, and he was like, "Okay, so we're gonna refill this and this and this," and I was like, I actually no. And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, I don't need them anymore. And he's like, "What do you mean you don't need them anymore?" And he's like, "Have you been like weaning off of them and you still have some?" And I was like, "No, I stopped taking them." And he like flipped out on me. He's like, "What? What do you mean you stopped taking them?" I'm like, what it sounded like. I stopped taking them. I'm like, I don't know how to make it more plain. And he was like, "But you could have had a seizure." And I was like, "And if I did, I had to come to the hospital." But here we are, a month later, no seizures, no drugs. We're good. And then he wanted to like put me back on them to wean me off. And I was like, "No, why would you put me back on the drugs?" And I was getting ready to transition out of the military at that time. I was going through my medical retirement board, which for most people it can be a bit of a goat rope, but they already had all my paperwork, so
Right.
all service connected. And after that, I just switched all of the drugs for pot.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, like it took a little while because I always had a bit of a taboo sense about weed. And my dad was a cop, so I had to like have the talk with him like, "Dad, you're gonna hate this." But literally it's so much better than the opioids, so I need you to trust me. I've talked to doctors.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where my ex had actually dosed me with Ambien to cheat on me, in the living room.
Oh my gosh.
My service dog woke me up to like get me to let her out, and that's how I found it. And I was like, all right, I'm done with the drugs. And also him. I like got divorced and
Wow.
stopped taking these sleeping pills because those were also super dangerous. I was cooking on them with no arms. I would wake up with like mac and cheese had been made and eaten, and I have no memory of it. It was so scary.
Yeah.
Like having conversations with people that I had had hour-long conversations with the day before, and it didn't exist in my brain.
Wow.
Like, to this day, I've had multiple surgeries since then. Even with breast cancer, I had the mastectomy. I had to go through the chemo and everything with that. I was on the painkillers for that exactly as long as I needed them.
Right, yeah.
And then I was done. Because it scares me.
Yeah. Yeah. Narcotics and painkillers, it's so funny because they truly make me feel like that there are no problems in the world. They make me feel too good. And so I just never refill the prescription.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrifying, and we have a massive issue with that in our country. But, okay, so, you went through breast cancer as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was also freak storm of good luck. James was coming home from his third deployment?
Second.
And I had some self-esteem issues, some body image issues. And my doctor actually brought it up. I kept having people ask me if I lost my tits in the blast.
Well, she was doing some peer mentoring to basically help other people who had been through like some hard traumas.
Sure.
And so she was doing peer mentoring with other females. And yeah, it was 2 or 3 of them in a row that asked her what happened to her chest if she lost it to the blast.
Like, nope, just au naturel, small bean. So I was actually talking about getting a breast augmentation.
Yeah.
And I told my doctor about it as like an in passing, like I'm thinking about doing this. And he goes, I mean, I can see why. And I was like, ouch, thank doc. And he goes, no. He goes, it's because your arms frame your chest. So when people look at your arms, they're also seeing your chest. And I was like, it's all just right there, how small. Okay, yeah. So now I'm really thinking about doing this. And he's like, we could do it through the VA. He's like, or we can do a community care type thing. He's like, and I have a friend who's a reconstructive plastic surgeon who can do it. He makes it look natural. They won't be too big, and he does like hundreds of these every year. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And then I had like my women's exam and everything was normal. 2 weeks later, James gets home. We have the appointment with the reconstructive plastic surgeon. We talked to him about, everything that we want. And he's a really good dude. Like at one point he's like, so what are you thinking? As big as we can go? And I'm like, oh, it's straight down. I'm not trying to make money. Just trying to, people notice that, oh, that's not a boy. Got it. That's all I want, man. Like, that's pretty much what he did. He was
For
like,
sure
no,
the funniest guest we've had on.
Sorry.
No, don't say sorry. This is great.
But he's like, I mean, as big as we can for your frame. I'm like, oh, yeah. He's like, maybe like a B. I'm like, yes, no, B's perfect. That's what I was, yeah. And he's like, okay, well, let's just do a little exam and then we'll go with making the appointment. And I'm like, all right, cool. So he's doing the exam. He goes, anybody ever tell you got a lump here? I'm like, I just had my women's exam like 2 weeks ago. There's no lump. And he's like, no, there's a lump. I'm like, oh. He's like, well, you're young. It's probably nothing. It's probably fine. I'm like, there's a whole skyscraper over there with little kids with cancer. I don't think I'm too young. And they're like, no, it'll be okay. We'll do a biopsy. Like, all right. So they do a biopsy and they do it with an ultrasound. And the lady's got the wand and she's like, pushing down and moving it. And she finds this little pill and she pushes down on it. And I watch this thing grow a trunk and I go, oh, that's not a regular shape. And she goes, huh? And like turns the screen. I was like, a little late. Yes, I can read an x-ray. And she's like, it's probably fine. You're really young. I'm like, you keep saying that.
Yeah, and at this point, luck means nothing to you.
Yeah. And so they do the biopsy, they send it off, and like 10 days later, because they wait.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they did like a whole genetic screening and all sorts of stuff in that time, because the VA's got to know if it was them burn barrels or my genetics. It's not my genetics. And they call me up. My case manager calls me up. She's amazing. She's like, hey, Mary, we got your results back in. Will you come in tomorrow and we'll talk about it? Dr. Utt's waiting. I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, great. We'll see you in the morning. And I was like, sweet. And I hang up and I look at James and I was like, I have cancer. And he's like, what? They told you that? I'm like, no, they didn't say you don't have cancer, which is the first thing they would say if I didn't. They want me to come in, which means they have to tell me in person.
Yeah.
And so we get there and my case manager walks me all the way to the doctor's office. And I just keep like looking at James like, see, she's right here. And we sit down and my doctor like turns around and he's emotional and he's got the file in front of him. I'm like, oh, and he's like, so it's stage 1 breast cancer. And I like look at James and I'm like, I told you. Oh. Yeah, that would happen, but stage 1, so we're good. And he's like, yeah, we have to do more testing and see what the treatment options are. And I'm like, okay, cool. So they send off for more testing, and turns out super rare cancer. Go me. So got to do it right. So they have to do a study on it at the Seattle Cancer Care Alliance. So now I'm in 2 medical journals. Awesome. That was 2 fingers, by the way. So
I saw it. You get used to it. It takes a little while, but eventually you'll figure out the hand gestures from just the upper arm movements.
The tilt of the nub.
Yeah. And so they figure out that mine's like estrogen fed. And then another stroke of luck, my tits are actually too small for a lumpectomy. Had to do a full mastectomy.
Oh, really?
So yeah, like and it was just above the duct, so they had to remove the duct to make sure it doesn't get into the lymph nodes and spread. But I got super lucky. They caught everything fairly early on. The chemo that I opted to do took longer, but it was still only 6 months, and I didn't lose my hair. So that was awesome.
Is that why you picked it? Yeah.
Literally,
yeah, I had 2 options.
That is the reason she picked it.
Yeah, I felt kind of bad because they had a speech prepared for each, and she's going through it, and I was like, Doc, do either of them let me keep my hair? And she goes, the longer one. I'm like, that's the one we're doing. And she's like, okay. And I got a doctor's note to not have kids. It was awesome. I finally got our moms off my back. No, I'm kidding. They both just said that I needed Jesus.
Yeah, they didn't really ease up after that. I don't know how. Like cancer. And they're like, but kids. And I'm like, cancer.
I felt bad for that doctor too. She came in like she was about to tell me I was terminal. I was like, oh no, what is happening?
Yeah.
And she was like, I see in your file that you don't have kids. And I was like, no. And she was like, do you want any? And I was like, not particularly. I really love being Auntie Mary. And she was like, oh, good. You can't have them. I'm like, oh, okay. Because once you become pregnant, you become like an estrogen factory.
Yeah.
And my cancer is estrogen fed. So basically, if I were to get pregnant, it would just kill me. It's like a death sentence.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, well, if it had to be a crazy, super rare form of cancer is going to make me not have kids, glad it's me, not someone who wanted kids.
Sure.
Because I feel no ways about it. So we did the chemo. That sucked. And it sucks worse the longer it goes because chemo is cumulative. The whole point is to build it up in your body. You're essentially poisoning yourself just enough to kill cancer but not kill you. And that sucked. After that, I think is when I had the most substance issues.
Okay, so you're going through this recovery process for your injury, and then you start having some issues with alcohol. Can you tell us about that?
So I had some issues with alcohol. Not like I was overdoing it too much, but I was drinking quite a bit. Early 20s, after I got off all the prescription drugs, and then going through my divorce. That was annoying and long. And then at one point, James and I lived with my ex and his girlfriend. We all shared this like massive house. And that led to a lot of stress, a lot of drinking. Not any like.
How did that situation come about?
So he was still my like legal caretaker.
Oh.
So it was odd, but when I'd asked him for a divorce, we had kind of a symbiotic relationship. There was a lot of stuff that I couldn't do on my own.
Yeah.
And he couldn't survive financially on his own. So he continued to get paid to be my caretaker and take care of me. But our marriage had been dead for at least a year, probably longer. If I'm honest, it probably died when I got blown up.
Really?
Yeah, because we kind of had to adjust. We moved into a more of a nurse patient role than husband and wife. Whereas with James and I, he met me like this. After I had learned to be an adult again, mostly, and take care of myself to a point.
Sure.
So we didn't have to go through that kind of dynamic together. It changes your relationship.
Yeah.
Very, very few people survived BAMC, the Brooke Army Medical Center, or Center for the Intrepid, with their marriage intact.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of divorces.
It's just a hard transition for guys when they get hurt. It's such a big shift in their lives that a lot of the times it's just their marriages suffer and they just don't hold up as well.
Yeah.
Well, their dynamic will completely shift. Most of these guys are in the military. They are war fighters.
Yeah.
They're the ones taking care of their family, protecting them, and then all of a sudden, they can't.
Yeah, and they feel helpless.
And that is a huge issue. You have to learn to swallow your pride, and a lot of us don't take the healthy way of swallowing our pride. There are ways. But even good things can get to the extreme. You've got guys who work out to feel, but even they can do it to a detriment, to the point where they're hurting themselves and then being like, no, I got to keep going, because that's what they do to cope.
Yeah.
I did get into drinking a bit during that time. And then it was kind of the culture, Drinking Bros was starting up around 2016, 17?
I think 15.
15, yeah. And that's when I had met JT and the guys and was hanging out with them, and it was just kind of the thing. Also, we were doing a bunch of cons, like Comic-Con and PAX and things like that. And there's a bit of a drinking culture around that.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the military, same thing, especially in EOD, we have the memorial every year, and that's kind of a big Irish wake. We get together, we have the auction, and most of us are drinking during that, and then the next day we have the memorial, and that is it's a military memorial, so it's like a funeral. But after that, we all just, there's the ball, but we all just get drunk and tell the stories of our brothers and sisters. It's all about remembering. And libations fuel the stories often, especially when it's painful ones.
Sure.
So it was always just kind of a thing. It was always there, alcohol. When I went through chemo, I stopped drinking entirely, because chemo, I already feel like.
Yeah.
And then my last round of chemo was early December, and then we went on a like celebratory cruise. Was it Western Caribbean, I think?
Yeah, Western Caribbean.
So it was like a 7-day cruise, first we'd ever been on, and we were like, we're going to celebrate finishing chemo. And that was like the first time I drank again, after the probably 8 months from the time I stopped drinking. And we basically were drunk the whole cruise, which was not very expensive for me because I was a super lightweight, literally and figuratively. I think I was down to like 107 pounds at the time from the chemo.
Wow.
It was brutal. I started off at, I want to say about 120, about where I am now. And I dropped down to about 110. And my doctor was like, what helps you eat? And I was like, honestly, because I'm not really allowed to tell you. And she was like, tell me. And I was like, weed. I get stoned and I can eat a bunch of pizzas. And she was like, smoke more weed, eat more pizza. And I was like, you're my favorite doctor. But she was awesome about it. That was kind of the biggest issue with me, or the thing they were the most worried about was my weight. It was scarily low for a bit.
Right.
But I didn't have any of the like vomiting or anything until the flight down to Florida for the cruise.
Really?
Yeah, it was weird. The thing I got the most was like my limbs wouldn't stop shaking or like just jittering. It was like restless leg syndrome. They actually had to put me on some weird drug for it to get it to stop. But as soon as I stopped with the chemo, stopped all the drugs, and then we basically started drinking from then on. So yeah, we're on the flight down for the cruise, and as we were landing, I was like, James, I need the barf bag. And he was like, what? I'm like right now. And so he hands it to me, and I barf in it, like I think 3 or 4 times too. I felt so bad. And then that was it. That was like the worst it got for me with the nausea for chemo. Yeah, I got so lucky.
And so at this point, you're off of chemo.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me that like it started after.
Well, so it had been building up. Like chemo builds up in your body. So they told me like December and January were going to be my worst couple months, where I was going to feel like just the absolute worst. And they were right. You're just tired, lethargic.
For the most part, you weren't nauseous all the time, but you were a zombie.
Yeah.
So like she would have chemo on a Monday, and then she would be sick Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, start to feel better Thursday, feel okay Friday, feel fine Saturday, and then have anxiety and start to get sick again on Sunday in anticipation of chemo on Monday.
Yeah.
And so it was essentially she would have like 1 to 2 good days out of any given week.
Yeah.
And the rest she was just kind of like...
Yeah, I couldn't concentrate on anything. I was just very... Like, I already have ADHD, but it was like to the max. And just lethargic. Like, negative energy.
Yeah.
So then once that was all done, I went a little bit crazy with the drinking because, sweet freedom. And I've never been like a violent drunk, though I did have violent occurrences, I guess. So we had one night, it was a friend's bachelorette party, and one of our other friends was supposed to DD, so she wasn't going to be drinking. She was very much a violent drunk. So I had kind of been tasked with babysitting her, but since she was DD, I didn't have to. She wasn't going to be drinking. Well, we switched plans and went to Seattle instead, which is where she lives, so she could just get a cab home. So she decided to start drinking, which led to her getting violent and attacking another girl in the party, which led to me defending her. So, like, at one point, the bouncers came into the bathroom. She had attacked our friend in the bathroom, and I had her like lifted up off the ground, pinned against the wall. And yes, I had no hands. And I'm holding her up, and she's punched me in the face for like the 4th time, and I was like, stop fucking hitting me. And the bouncers come in, and I thought it was the girls again, so I was like, I got her. I'm sorry, like I'm in trouble. And they're like, no, it's fine, because it like apparently when I screamed it, they thought I was like mad, but I was just adrenaline pumping. So I let her fall. They take her outside, and then 5 minutes later, somebody comes running in who's like, I'm looking for Mary. I was like, I'm a Mary. It's kind of a common name. And he goes, I'm supposed to tell you your friend's going crazy in the street? And I was like, yeah, I'm that Mary. So I run out, and I'm like, tell the bouncer on the way, I'm like, call the cops. He's like, yep, already did it. I'm like, yep. And we get out there, and that same friend is like just attacking random people in the street. So I had to like restrain her, which led to me getting punched a few more times in the face. And then she sat up and like latched on to my like she was breastfeeding, and I couldn't get her off. So just, and then I headbutted her for the win. And yeah, but I had stopped drinking. Like I'd had 2 drinks before she started.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I can call that a alcohol related incident for me.
Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah. Though she did end up going to the hospital. So yeah, that was like a fight early on that was kind of it seemed out of the norm.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of just became the lifestyle.
Yep.
After a while, things like that would happen around us every weekend, every other weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty regularly.
Yeah. There'd always be some fight that broke out, or someone would do something stupid, or I would get hurt in some way, normally doing something stupid.
Somebody would be, I don't know, there'd be some sort of drama because somebody got drunk and cheated on their wife, or
there's so
something
much.
dumb happened with that ended up getting questioned by either a sergeant major or the colonel on Monday, and you're like, okay, crap.
Yeah.
And so during this time, were you drinking as well?
I was at the time drinking a lot more than she was. When we originally had started dating, was shortly after my first deployment, when my teammate had been killed. And when I got home, I really didn't have any good coping mechanisms for that. And really nobody wanted to talk about that, and I didn't want to talk about that. So pretty much I just drank every weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually most every night. And especially when she was going through chemo, we couldn't really have a whole lot of like husband, wife, or couple interactions. We couldn't really hang out together on the couch. It was like, well, she's going to be asleep for the next 16, 18 hours. So I can't leave. So I'm just going to sit here and have some drinks and play video games. And so by the time that we got to that point before I went to start teaching, I think most nights I was drinking about half a fifth. And it became such a problem for me because I had to start structuring my day around either
When you were going to drink.
when I was going to drink or preparing for the hangover afterward.
Yeah.
So it was like, all right, we got to get greasy food. We got to get drip drop. I got to get Excedrin for the morning and plan to have food ready because I'm going to be sick and everything else. And it just went on like that for years for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I actually was about to finish up teaching and go back to like a line unit that I was like, I have a real problem right now.
Sure.
Because of living that way, I hadn't been exercising or anything. And so I was getting grossly overweight.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like crap. You hit that point where you feel like crap basically any time. The only time you don't feel like it is when you're drinking.
Right.
So you feel like crap recovering from it. You feel like crap before you get ready to drink. And it's like, oh, you just drink. And yeah, I think at one point we were spending more on alcohol in a month than we were on food.
Oh, wow. Was there one specific moment for you when you realized, like, oh, this is definitely a problem, or was it, a slow roll over a period of time?
It was kind of a slow roll. I think when it really slapped me in the face is when I walked back to my unit after being in TRADOC for a couple of years, and I got back, and it was blatantly clear to me that I had let everything slip.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, I am horribly out of shape. I look like I can't PT, and like even the guys that I had known for years, I walked in and they gave me a look like, bro, what the hell? And yeah, I was like, all right, no, I gotta change something.
Sure.
And so that's when I kind of started trying to wheel it back. The other time is like the first time you see yourself naked after a while, you know. I don't know how else to say that, but the first time you see yourself naked and you're like, oh, I did not realize that was me. We got work to do.
I've got a question for both of you, but I'd like you to answer first. Did your drinking, did you guys snowball off of each other? Did you feed each other? How did each of your drinking impact the other and make it worse, better?
It made it worse. I think it exacerbated it because it kind of built that norm in our home of like, every night was a drinking night. Like, what's going on? We're having drinks and sitting down and doing, whatever we normally do. But it was, the way home, I'm grabbing bourbon for me and wine for her.
Mm-hmm.
And so it absolutely just fed into each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in both ways too. So like in the beginning, mostly I drank like rum and beer.
Mm-hmm.
When James and I started getting more serious, he's a whiskey guy, like bourbon specifically. I got way more into whiskey and bourbon, but so much so that I actually developed an allergy to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got real sick. Actually, one of the times that I started to realize I was developing an allergy was when I was in Boston with Nick. But there were times when we would absolutely like feed off of each other. Like, oh, you're gonna have a drink? Sweet, I wanted one. Or if we were having to travel somewhere, we would have an airport.
Oh yeah.
Airport drink was always kind of a thing that you did. And it just kind of became like just what we do together. But also, when I would do the 100 days sober every year, he started doing it with me. If one of us was like, I need to cut back, the other was like, okay, we'll cut back. And we would do it together and kind of like,
that's really interesting.
I'll enable your good habits too. Like, not just the bad ones, but, we try to support each other without controlling each other.
It enabled me to avoid all the things I needed to face, or at least my experiences. For me personally, I never really faced either things with my upbringing or with the trauma from 2010 of Wade's death, and so it just gave me the opportunity to just keep pushing it aside and pushing it back and pushing it back until it built up. And so whenever we'd go out in a social setting or I wouldn't feel like being there, it's just like, all right, well, I'll drink and we'll get there. So it just let me be someone else, I guess. But over time, like that, it wasn't a real person. So it just kind of started to erode. And eventually it was just, I need to drink or I'm going to hate everything. So in between the two of us, it hit a point where we were both getting so drunk every night that we would get in an argument about something neither of us even knew what we were arguing about, and just storm the other room for a while and eventually come back and we're both just drunk anyway. So it's like, oh, I love you too. Back to bed. And so it wasn't any like long lasting things, but like we just had times where we just didn't talk because we're just going to drink. So it was a substitute for like genuine connection and communication at that time.
Right.
And it made everything feel hollow for a long time.
How long did that last?
I think from about the time Marion was talking, about the time she finished chemo, so early 2014, up until maybe the end of 2019. for those few years. So I did one more deployment during that time, and then I went and I was teaching at the schoolhouse. And for those couple of years, like, we were just out of control. When I was on my deployment in 2014, there had been some incidents back home with some of the guys that had stayed back. They would still have unit get-togethers with the people who were back, and there were incidents happening back there of, I was getting questions on deployment of like, hey, what's going on at home? Like, what's going on with Mary? What's going on here? And it was multiple times we had phone calls of her telling me like, I don't know what happened last night, or I don't know what is going on here. And it was just so much uncertainty and just added stress for us that it really started to break down to the point where we didn't talk.
Really? Wow. And so how did the alcohol impact you as an instructor?
As an instructor, it kept me from being as focused on what I needed to do. I love teaching.
Yeah.
I was not a huge fan of everything else that went on in TRADOC, but like the actual teaching portion was one of the absolute favorite portions of my career.
Mm-hmm.
And the drinking part, I don't know, I will have to say it definitely impacted my ability to connect with my students, because on the days when I'm hungover or sick or whatever, I'm just not teaching as well. I'm there. I'm a zombie. Maybe another kid or two, maybe some more people could have gotten better information if I had it together all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely would have looked more professional. I put on a bunch of weight because pretty much I was just eating takeout food and drinking and not working out. And so by the time I left the schoolhouse, I was probably the heaviest I've ever been.
Really?
So it just, like, in terms of professionalism, I just looked like...
Yeah. I mean, how did it affect your day-to-day life? He's teaching, so you're left to your own devices at that point. I mean, were you drinking while he was, like, working?
No. I never really, like, just day drank alone.
Uh-huh.
If we were together, most of the time, yeah, we were drinking, especially in Florida. So in Florida, on top of, like, the weird body image issues I was having because of the extra scars and just everything that I've gone through in the past, I was also on hormone therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I was taking tamoxifen because my cancer's estrogen fed.
Sure.
So they had to shut down my estrogen factory. So basically I was in early menopause the entire time we were in Florida, which is hell, because hot flashes in Florida are the devil. Oh my God. I literally had to bring a shirt with me in my purse everywhere we went so I could change. And so drinking just kind of seemed like, well, also it's like Destin, Florida. So big party spot.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of the lifestyle there. It seems so normal.
Right.
So it's really easy to just kind of let yourself fall into that lifestyle and stay there. So I had kind of the same things that James had, weight gain, a significant amount in just a few years. Some of it initially was good, because like I said, I got down to like 107.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed to gain some weight, but I went a little too far the opposite way.
Sure.
And it wasn't the healthiest way of gaining weight either.
Right.
So also, as a side effect of being an amputee and with the surgeries that I've had to correct neuromas and such, when I drink, my nubs suffer.
Really?
It messes with the circulation quite a bit.
Yeah, she swells.
Yeah, they'll swell up really bad. All my scars will swell up and stretch and turn just like bright red. And then I get itchy, like unbelievably itchy, but it's like inside your skin itchy. It is awful. And I was just, suffering through it because, drinking fun.
Yeah.
And it is just afterwards, you're literally poisoning your body.
Yeah.
Like, that's the fun part, is like the poison. And it became a problem. I would wake up and not be able to do anything for at least half the day because my nubs would hurt so bad. On top of that, I've gained a bunch of weight. I was not focusing on the book. I was kind of trying to write the autobiography. I really hate writing about myself. It's fucking awful. I will never publish that book. I hate it. But I did transition from that to writing fiction when we kind of started to slow down, like taper off at the end.
Was there a moment when you realized you guys had a problem?
A moment? There were a few moments. And it was always kind of the same thing where you've got the 2-day hangover.
Yeah.
Not being able to function at like a family event or something. Little things like that where you're like, this is a problem.
Yeah.
There were a couple times where I like saw my weight on the scale and like, I that's just booze and pasta. So there were a few times, and then there were, I think, 3 times through our entire relationship where I had gotten drunk enough to the point where I could not understand English and was getting confused, and that turns me into Rage Mary.
Wow.
And I don't get like violent and like throw things or attack people or anything like that. I just, cut with words, which is sometimes worse. And also it doesn't help that I do not have a logical thought in my head at that time.
Yeah.
So there were moments where I was just like, the next day woke up and man, that's embarrassing. Like, and I should feel embarrassed because I should stop doing that.
Right.
And so we had, over the course of our marriage, a handful of talks of we gotta cut back, we gotta quit, we gotta get some semblance of control. And that was kind of when the birth of the 100 Days Sober started, at least for me.
Really?
Because a month is a month. And it honestly, I've never really felt like I got anything out of that. I always felt like I got a month of sobriety. I'd start to feel normal. And then I'm just, drinking my face off again. Because also I have no impulse control. Like, I don't know if that's the ADHD or the TBI, but when their powers combine, I will drink the place just dry. Like,
wow. Okay. And so, I mean, the first time you did the 100 Days Sober, I'm just curious, did you celebrate when it was over by drinking?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, smash.
It's more the challenge.
Yeah. I never did the Carlo Rossi challenge, but yeah.
You're like, oh man, it's way cheaper to get drunk now.
Oh, yeah.
2 drinks and you're golden.
Like, only 1 bottle this time.
Okay, so tell me about, how many years did you guys do it before you really the 100 Days Sober turned into just kind of all the time sober?
I mean, until this year. Like, I haven't drank at all this year. But it was kind of like the challenge. I was like, at first I was like, I want to see if I can do a whole year.
Sure.
Because the last time I did that was after the 11 White Russians. And,
okay, so you guys started doing the 100 Days Sober challenge, and then in between your 100 Days Sober, you were drinking a lot. But at some point, it sounds like fairly recently, you guys pretty much got it under control. Everybody's recovery looks different. For me, I completely quit drinking for at least a year. It might have been a couple years. And then I reintroduced it, and everything, now I have a healthy relationship with alcohol. What did that look like for you?
For me, I just kind of, when I started to focus more on lifting again, because I've always really enjoyed weightlifting. And so as I started to focus more on the dietary side of it, it became easier to look at and be like, all right, well, if I'm going to fit my macros and my calories, I need to take my alcohol consumption into account and limit it. And so the beginning of that was setting rules for myself of like, well, I only drink on the weekends, and when that's the case, I only have no more than 2 drinks at a time, and that worked really well. So
Was it hard at first?
not particularly. It was kind of weird changing. It really was for me. It was just changing what I had available to drink.
Sure.
So, I never intended to drink half a fifth or 3/4 of a fifth in a night. It was just I was doing something, and it was just a reflex of like, oh, something happened. I'll take a drink, and you just go through. You just keep making drinks, and eventually you're out of alcohol and you're on the floor. So it just came down to swapping it with something else, like seltzer water, or just soda or whatever was available, something non-alcoholic, and it wasn't really that hard to make the swap. And just kind of changing the way that I interacted socially, because I used to feel like I needed to have a drink to kind of get myself moving for that. And so once I kind of learned that I don't really need that, I can just be whoever I need to be, whoever I want to be. It wasn't hard to have those interactions anymore, and I was able to kind of step away from the alcohol. Especially like once you see yourself on film being drunk, like it's one thing to like remember how you were when you were drunk,
Yeah.
but when you actually see a recording of it and you're like, oh,
Who had a recording of it?
I was live streaming at the time. I was doing Twitch streaming, and there were a couple of streams where I could go back and like people would make some clips, and I'd look at it and be like, oh man, like that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And it's right there in HD for everyone. And so yeah, that made it a little easier to step back. So I was like, I don't like being that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's really interesting. So you drink during the streams.
And that was actually where it was the worst, because you'd be sitting there for 5-6 hours just playing video games, and it's easy to just keep drinking. And then like you turn the stream off and you get up to leave and fall on the floor.
Yeah. So everybody's recovery looks different. I stopped drinking for a period of time. Now I have a healthy relationship with alcohol in my life. It sounds like, do you still drink? Like,
I do. I'll have a drink once in a while, normally about once a week. I think I'll sit down and I'll have one as I'm kind of relaxing. I'll be chatting with Mary. But I did set limits on myself, simply because I don't want to get back to that habit, or that amount where it's such an integral part of the day of like we have to plan to drink.
is there a fear there for you of that?
Yeah, alcoholism was a pretty big issue in my family. And every member of my biological family has had issues with alcoholism. And yeah, my fear is that you just start to lose yourself in it and make worse and worse decisions. And like once you're past, in my thought process, once you're past your early 20s, it's kind of hard to do that and make those serious mistakes anymore, because I mean I'm almost 40. Like it's going to be whatever I do, whatever mistake I make is going to destroy everything I've worked for to this point. And so it's just the understanding that there's so much hanging over my head for myself and my family.
Right. Yeah. So it feels like you have people counting on you.
Yeah.
And so you can't fall back.
Yeah. And that's kind of really did it for me, is like I wouldn't be able to make the best life for my wife and myself if I'm just stuck in that haze of being sick all the time.
Yeah. That's really interesting. So does him, because you don't drink at all, right?
Right now,
Right now. So potentially you may start, can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So kind of towards the end of last year, I told James that I needed to make a change. I had gotten the ADHD diagnosis, and I was talking about, or I was talking with my doctor about medication options, and what that would look like. But I didn't want to start any of that while I couldn't control my drinking. So I told James, like, I need to make a change. I'm getting to the age where I can't bounce back. Like it's 2 days at a minimum. And I'm trying to be healthier, trying to work out more. I'm just trying to focus on my mental health as well, and just bring everything back up to where it should be. So it was like, I'm just going to take all of 2025 off, like no drinking, no little cheat days or anything like that. And then after that, we'll revisit it. We'll see. But we're now in November, and honestly, it's been so much easier than I thought it was going to be, and so much easier than it's been in the past. And I don't know if it's because, like, in my head, I'm like, all of 2025, no drinks, so it's defined borders.
Sure.
But there's only been, I think, 3 times this entire year that have been like, I could really use a drink.
Really?
Yeah, and so I don't know. I like how I feel without it. Like, so much better. But we're getting the house built, and I'm building, like, my bathtub zen sanctuary area, and it has a wine niche for my bottle of wine and my little wine tumbler, and I do plan to have a glass of wine in that bathtub. So we'll see. But I don't think I'll ever go back to the, mid-20s drink my face off.
Sure. Does him drinking make it difficult for you not to?
Weirdly, no.
Yeah.
I think the first time I did the 100-day challenge, it did. Because the first time I did it alone. And I would see him drinking and be like, I want something. But now, like, no. He had a drink last night, and I just didn't even register it, really.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or, I'm sorry, not last night, the night before.
Yeah. Yeah, I had one drink the other night, and I still got a hangover from it. It's like, man, I hate getting older.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. And so you talked about, things you implemented into your life that helped you stop. It sounds like you shifted from an unhealthy habit to a healthy habit. And by shifting focus, that's what really helped you curb your drinking, right? Because you drink now. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
About shifting my focus?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to kind of, as I started to get closer to the end of my career, it's, to say something weird, like, I didn't really have a plan to live past 25. And I think a lot of the guys in our career field kind of have similar mindsets of like, well, we're gonna go hard and we're gonna burn out gloriously, and it'll be, but at least it'll be fun and someone's gonna remember it. And so you get to that point where you're like, well, I've been successful enough, but I don't know where to go from here. And so we'll just keep doing what we're doing, and you just end up burning out very hard and very painfully. And it just, you had to sit down and figure out, like, well, who do I want to be now? Like, I'm at a point where I have to start looking into a different section of my life. I have to face the fact that I'm not going to be a bomb tech forever. I'm not going to be in the military forever. I have to figure out, like, who do I want to be when I'm done? And the first thing I was like, well, who am I now? And I was like, well, I'm the drunk. And I was like, well, when I get done in the next phase, I don't want to be a drunk. I want to be something different. And like, how do I start to get there? And the first step was, well, I have to drink less or not at all. And it just comes down to figuring out, who do you really want to be? And I still don't have the full answer for that yet, but I can at least say that the person that I see myself becoming doesn't have that issue. And so I had to do something.
Sure. How long ago was retirement?
Just over a year. I retired August 1st of 24.
Okay. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Belated congratulations. That's awesome. Are you enjoying it?
Off and on. It's weird losing the structure.
Yeah.
And it's been really hard for me to kind of find it on my own again, but I'm slowly getting there.
Has there been moments when you wanted to drink, thinking back on your time in the military? How has getting out of the military impacted that?
Breaking kind of the structure and the lifestyle of being in the military kind of makes you realize how far out there it is being in the military. Because when you come back and you start to make friends that aren't military, like civilian friends or my neighbors, and I'll talk to them about being in the military, and they're like, that's normal for you? Like, yeah.
Yeah, is it not normal for you?
Is that not? It's like, no, that's not normal for us. And
Can you think of a specific example?
When we handed out Jello shots the first year at Halloween. A lot
Not to the kids.
Not to the kids.
Oh yeah, of course.
They're lightweights. I don't give them alcohol.
It's just a waste.
No, I got a lot of weird looks from the neighbors. I was
Really?
like, you want a Jello shot? And they're like, what do you mean? Like, do you want a Jello shot? I made them for the adults, and they're like, sure. And just a lot of some very unapproving looks.
Sure, sure.
Def-
That's super normal. If you go trick or treating on a military base,
yeah.
somebody's got Jello shots.
Yeah.
And you will occasionally find it every once in a blue moon in like non-military areas, but like, yeah, no, I got a lot of really awkward looks and a lot of some like and like walk away parents, and yeah, I was like, oh, that's not normal. And so it's one of those like, all right, I got to kind of reframe it and kind of figure out how do I reintegrate myself to society.
That's really, really interesting. So where did you move to after you retired?
We moved to not far from here. We moved to Cary, Cary, North Carolina. We're just outside Raleigh, north of Fort Bragg.
So not a super huge military presence there?
No, not huge. It's more of a tech area.
Okay.
So you see a lot more tech workers. You'll still get some military folks because obviously Fort Bragg's not that far away,
Sure.
and they
There's
kind
some
of
3-letter agency guys in our neighborhood.
Oh, really?
yeah,
FBI and
IRS, not
IRS.
not the fun 3-letter agencies.
he's a nice guy.
But yeah, kind of getting used to
why
that.
you guys live next to all the narcs?
Right, all right.
I keep the Wi-Fi off. Okay. Actually, no, we did name our Wi-Fi NSA surveillance van.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, so it was kind of like, all right, well, that's just not normal. It's not like, all right, we're gonna have the big pot of grog, and it's like that's not a thing.
Oh yeah, I had to explain grog to one of them. Like it's jungle juice, but awful.
Yeah, it's
Awful.
like jungle juice, but worse.
It's like pouring out the bar mat into a glass.
It's like if Waffle House made jungle juice.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
No,
fair.
that's exactly
accurate.
it.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
the
it was
American
kind of reframing that to look at who you really wanted to be, and so that required them to kind of figure out like what does normal look like. That's not just the military.
Sure.
It's
What-
rules?
Was it difficult to make the decision to go sober for a year?
Yeah, I waffled on it quite a bit.
Really?
Well, because at first I was like, I'm really gonna hate this. But the closer I got to the end of the year, the more I expected to have more anticipation, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And when I got to New Year's, I was like, oh, I should have champagne tonight. Well, I still can. And I think I drank like half the glass of champagne, and I was like, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's only been 3 days since then that I've been like, I want to drink.
Why?
So the first one was at Busch Gardens for our goddaughter's birthday.
Yep.
But like everywhere there was a bar, and we went to this like little Irish pub inside of it. It's probably better that I didn't have a drink there because the prices are astronomical. But I don't like crowds.
Yeah.
But that's not for everybody to be like, oh my God, PTSD. No, I've been like that since I was little. I've just
Sure.
never liked crowds. The second time was also our other goddaughter's birthday, but at GalaxyCon.
Yeah, we
Oh.
were at a Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Oh,
About
wow.
the third time, the lady in the wheelchair ran into the back of my legs and we almost had a cripple fight. I was like, I want a drink.
She was being quite rude. Yeah,
I was angry.
this lady was in a little electric cart and just kept, because she was in an electric cart, she just kept running into everybody in front of her to get them out of the way. And Mary's trying to walk, and this lady just keeps running into the back of her feet.
And I'm like boxed in. We are nut to butt in this place. Like,
Yeah.
ma'am, it's not just you. But yeah, there was that one. And then the third time was the EOD memorial. Went there, sitting at the bar with all of our friends. It's like everybody's drinking, with the exception of Russ and his wife Mary. So that was helpful. Because it was the old, we're sitting there, everybody's drinking and sharing stories of the past, the good times, the good awful times. And it just feels like that's what you do. But after like 20 minutes, and then when Russ and his wife showed up, they're very devout Catholics, and neither of them were drinking. And so I was like, oh, okay, I have people, I'm good.
Sure, sure. Yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of support in that way, so you don't feel like the odd person out for sure. Wow, it's really, really interesting. How have you seen your life improve? Can you dive a little bit deeper into that now that you've stopped drinking? How do you view yourself? What does your day-to-day life look like devoid of alcohol?
It's been a lot better. Several reasons. I was able to actually get medicated for ADHD, and accurately tweak the dosage rather than being like, do I feel like this because I have a hangover, or is it the meds? The weight has like fallen off of me. I've lost 40 pounds since the beginning of the year. Not all of it the greatest. I did get injured too.
Sure.
So I had to quit working out because we're not exactly sure what's wrong, but it's all in my back. So anything I do could mess it up. But it's also made getting up easier. Not going to bed. I just don't sleep. It just doesn't, it's not a thing. But I don't have to fight the pain to sleep now, other than like what is residual from the incident.
Sure.
But there's no like added alcohol pain.
Yeah.
I haven't been sick nearly as much this year as previous years. And also I've gotten a lot more writing done. I've never published anything, but I do have like a fiction story that I've been working on for nigh a decade, and I was very scatterbrained about it all before, but I've been actually able to like set a schedule, block everything off for my writing, and like sit down and focus on it without just being like nursing this headache.
Yeah.
And my energy levels have gone up, which is awesome.
Wow.
Because I'm still super tired because I'm old, but I don't need 3 naps today. Nana just needs 1.
Oh, God, that's awesome. And so, I mean, what have you seen since you stopped drinking? What changes have you seen?
The more focus. She definitely, it's taken a little time because, like me, she had to kind of start working on like a schedule, like once she got on ADHD meds, but like more focus to be able to do the things that she wants, whether it's creative projects, like when we started working with the folks at the Gary Sinise Foundation on the house. They had they had ideas that they wanted her to look through, they wanted her to decide on, and she was able to sit down and go, I want it to look like this, I want this idea, and go through and start to, I mean, she made a huge book on everything for the house. Then at the same time, we weren't losing half of every day to, okay, now we have to get up and try and find food or whatever. So, and it's just the ability to get up and go without being drugged down by that was huge.
The realization that people have some kind of issue with, I mean, really any habit, but specifically with alcohol. You know, some people have a moment. It doesn't sound like you guys had that moment, that like aha moment. It was something that creeped in over time. You guys made the decision to change, and now your lives have improved dramatically. And it's really, really interesting to me that one of you doesn't drink at all, and one of you still drinks a little bit. And that's a really, really interesting dynamic that I don't think we often see. But what advice do you have for somebody that thinks maybe they need to start looking at their relationship with alcohol?
Talk to the people that you trust the most first about it. So like a lot of times it's hard to take a very objective view of yourself, and kind of you're going to be colored one way or the other on how you feel. But talk to those closest to you, your small circle of friends and trusted relatives, to be like, if I do this, like, do you think this would help me? Or like, what's your opinion on this? And some might be too nice to tell you, yeah, you have a problem. But even then, somebody will, if you really trust them, they'll tell you the truth. You might have to prod them a little bit for it, but and be prepared for an unpleasant conversation. They
Yeah.
may tell you like something they've been holding on to for a really long time. But at the same time, when you share that with them, it also shows that you can lean on them for support when you start that process.
Yeah.
Because it's important to have people around you who will support you doing that. So, like my wife has never asked me, "Hey, can you not drink around me?" Or if there was something where she's like, "Hey, I'm not drinking. Can you not do that around me, or will you?" Because we've had that conversation.
Sure.
When she said, "Hey, I think I'm going to be sober this year," I was like, "Well, is it going to bother you if I drink?" That was my first question. And she said, "No." And my reply was, "Well, if it becomes a problem, or if you're like, hey, it's being a problem for me, can you not do that?" And be willing to support her. And the answer would be absolutely.
Yeah.
So you just have to have like your small circle of friends that will support you and hold you accountable.
Sure. What about you, Mary? What advice would you give?
I would also say that like, your support system is very important. And if you're trying to determine whether or not your relationship with alcohol is a healthy one, you should ask them how your relationship with alcohol is affecting your relationship with them. Because that'll often be your best litmus test.
Right.
Like, is it a positive thing? Oh, you're fun. You don't drink that much. That's fine. It's not a big deal. Or is it like, dude, you're always late. You're always making excuses. You never have the energy, or you're always angry. Things like that. Pay attention to that. If somebody is telling you there's an issue with your relationship because of alcohol, that's very important. And then I would also say that if you're trying to stop drinking, like altogether, and you're anything like me, you're going to need to have like one big goal. Yeah, that can be, I'm done drinking. You're going to need little goals.
Sure.
Because without any sort of structure of I'm just not drinking, you're going to constantly ask yourself, but why though? And if you don't have a good answer to give yourself, it's going to be real easy to just reach for that drink again. So give yourself rules that you can follow, but will also lead you to your goals.
Sure.
And try to make sure you have little attainable goals along the way. Otherwise,
So try to do it fairly deliberately.
Yeah. If you just like, oh, I'm done. I've seen so many people try I'm done. It doesn't work.
For sure. 100%. Gosh. Yeah. I mean, I've seen that too. I think we've all seen it. You know, people that, well, especially like after a night of hard drinking, like, I'm never drinking again.
Never drinking again.
Famous last words. On the way to the store to get another 6-pack.
Or to wash the vomit off the car.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, we really, really appreciate you guys being on. Truly. You guys have a great story. You're hysterical, by the way. So funny. The funniest guest we've had for sure. Now, I want you guys, to tell the audience really anything that you want. If there was one thing that you could communicate to the audience, what would it be?
Don't turn away from the parts of yourself that you're not happy with. Make a plan to be who you want, to become who you want to be. You have to work constantly. My relationship with alcohol was always really bad because I used it as a way to avoid looking at my reality and like where my life was. So you have to be willing to kind of reconnect with that part of yourself and accept a lot of who you are. And sometimes that means the unpleasant parts too. So it takes a lot of courage to look at yourself in that way. But it's something that can be done by everyone.
I would say the best advice I can give, probably about most topics, is learn when to swallow your pride and when to give yourself some grace. We often tend to be our own worst critic, but we'll also make the biggest excuses for ourselves and our behavior. So take a good look inward. You're going to have to determine when you need to give yourself a break and when you need to light a fire under your own ass. And be real honest about it.
Well, thank you guys. It was great. This was the Check Your Six Pack podcast, and this week we had on Mary and James, both who have remarkable stories. Mary experienced a very traumatic injury on deployment. James experienced the loss of a friend. Their stories are uncommon, but the use of alcohol to cope with trauma is very common in our community. They decided to make a change after realizing that they were not living the way they wanted to and that alcohol had impacted their lives negatively. And you absolutely can as well. The Check Your Six Pack podcast is done in conjunction with the Center for the Study of Traumatic Stress and Uniformed Services University. I am Mandatory Fun Day, and we will see you guys next time.
All right, Beaker Brigade, fall back in because we've got some science to unpack.
Mary's story shows just how complicated pain can be, physically and emotionally.
So today, we're zooming out to talk about how the nervous system processes pain and how the body tries to protect itself.
Then we're dragging alcohol into the spotlight because alcohol keeps cosplaying as a painkiller, but the only thing it actually treats is your ability to make reasonable decisions.
And finally, we'll talk prescription painkillers, how they work, why they're effective, why you should take them as prescribed.
Pain is complicated. The tools we use to treat it are complicated, but we're here to make it make sense. I'm Kelly Huber.
And I'm Dr. Sarah Maggio. And no, I cannot refill your buddy's old post-deployment perks. I'm not that kind of doctor, and this is not that kind of podcast.
No prescriptions, all pain, sprains, twists, falls, blast exposure, the sting of no emotional reassurance from Dr. Maggio. You name it, when you take a hit, you feel that immediate flare of pain.
Evolutionarily, pain perception is critical for survival. It's the body's way of saying pause and evaluate before you make things worse. Pain is the one battle buddy that doesn't sugarcoat anything.
Oh, so you both have that in common.
Indeed.
Historically, alcohol was used in pain management and to sterilize wounds dating all the way back to ancient Egypt and throughout battlefield medicine until around the early.
But people still reach for alcohol like it's a field expedient painkiller because pharmacologically, alcohol has its dirty little hands in all levels of the pain system.
When your body is in pain, it releases endogenous opioids, which are the body's natural pain-killing chemicals.
Alcohol also activates the release of these pain-killing chemicals, providing some short-term relief for physical pain.
The brain and body's natural response to pain also involves neurotransmitters, glutamate, which is excitatory, and GABA, which is inhibitory.
GABA and glutamate work in opposition to regulate pain signals. It's all about the balance.
When an injury happens, glutamate is like a drill sergeant with a bullhorn yelling, "Go, go, go!" at your neurons.
The increased firing in the spinal cord and brain helps your system recognize, hey, something's wrong. Maybe don't ignore that bone sticking out.
But overexcitation and pain signaling would overwhelm the system and render it non-functional. This is where GABA comes in to restore the balance.
In acute pain, glutamate sends out pain signals, and when a pain signal is received, GABA is released, acting as a natural pain-blocking mechanism by calming the excited neurons.
GABA is the gate guard controlling how much pain information reaches the brain by regulating pain signaling.
Evolutionarily, it's adaptive to have enough pain to recognize when you're injured, but not so much pain that you can't escape whatever caused the problem in the first place.
But when alcohol shows up to the party, it barges into this glutamate GABA operation like it owns the place.
Acutely, alcohol decreases glutamate activity, effectively reducing the pain signaling, and it increases GABA activity, creating a calming effect.
But chronic alcohol exposure, like from long-term heavy drinking, can weaken the whole system, resulting in those pain signals showing up louder, messier, and absolutely not following instructions.
Like the nervous system's revenge tour. And trust me, alcohol is not the medic you want on that mission.
The analgesia, or pain relief that alcohol produces, is short-lived and dose-dependent.
The higher the pain level, the more alcohol is needed to numb it.
And the body builds up tolerance for the pain-relieving effects of alcohol, requiring more and more alcohol for the same effect.
Heavy drinking can also interfere with immune system function, weakening the body's ability to fight infection and repair damaged tissue.
Drinking 5 to 6 drinks in one sitting can suppress the immune system for up to 24 hours by interfering with the production and performance of key immune cells, leaving your internal defense force hungover and underpowered.
So now we've dragged alcohol out of the aid station and shown everyone why it's a terrible medic. It's time to talk about the real heavy hitters, opioid pain medications.
Morphine, oxycodone, hydrocodone, fentanyl. These are the big guns of pain management, not your grandma's Motrin.
These meds absolutely do work, but also absolutely do come with a long list of biochemical fine print.
Opioids act primarily on mu-opioid receptors. These receptors normally respond to your body's naturally occurring opioids, endorphins, and enkephalins. But opioid medications hit them with far more intensity and duration.
When an opioid activates a mu-opioid receptor, it triggers a cascade of intracellular events that reduce neuronal excitability.
This is a fancy way of saying it reduces the likelihood of the neuron firing. The ouch signal is non-deployable. Activating these receptors also inhibits the release of brain chemicals involved in pain perception, called glutamate and substance P.
Which I learned is also Nick Palmisano's rapper name. Ranger up.
But in the case of science, inhibiting the release of these chemicals is like cutting the comms lines so the pain signals don't make it up the brain HQ.
Opioids also activate reward circuits, particularly in the ventral tegmental area, or VTA, the HQ for dopaminergic cell bodies in the mesocorticolimbic dopamine system.
Which we already explained in an episode with a silly goose. And there's no acronym for mesocorticolimbic, so explaining it again would take too long.
So opioids activate the reward pathways by inhibiting inhibitory GABA interneurons.
Interneurons are the communicators within the central nervous system, neurons that talk to other neurons.
Briefly, GABA off, dopamine on, pain goes down, and mood goes up.
And let's be honest, when someone's in severe pain, the brain isn't throwing a lot of brakes on relief. Opioids provide actual pain control, but the brain doesn't know or care whether the reason is noble, necessary, or because someone tried to deadlift their feelings again.
Again? Opioid pain meds don't just block pain. They feel good. That dopamine spike is the part people underestimate.
And just like with alcohol, tolerance develops and the mu-opioid receptors adapt surprisingly fast.
Higher doses are needed, and the system becomes increasingly dependent on external opioids to maintain stability.
And withdrawal is the rebound effect. The nervous system, now recalibrated around opioids, becomes hyperactive when they disappear, causing anxiety, sweating, nausea, pain sensitivity, and autonomic dysfunction.
Opioids are effective. They have an essential medical role, but their neuropharmacology makes them high-risk tools.
Pain management, alcohol, injury recovery, all of these systems overlap in ways most people don't realize.
Alcohol, opioids, endogenous opioids, glutamate, GABA, they all converge on the same neural circuits regulating pain, stress, reward, and healing.
Our goal isn't to villainize pain meds. They're essential. They save lives in combat, civilian trauma, surgery, and palliative care, but they require respect and a plan.
And understanding the science is step one in choosing the right medic for the mission.
Keep the mission on track, not on whatever weird side quest your neurons come up with.
We would like to discuss the important but sensitive topic of brain donation. As we know, the brain health of our service members is a complicated subject, influenced by many factors, including traumatic brain injuries from both impacts and blast overpressure, toxic exposures, psychological well-being, cognitive function, and many other important and unique factors. To address gaps in knowledge, toward improving the health of our warfighters, the Department of War and the Uniformed Services University have established a facility to study the brain after a service member passes away. Many conditions, such as chronic traumatic encephalopathy, can only be diagnosed post-mortem, and many disease processes have yet to be completely understood. Therefore, the importance of donation is more critical now than ever. Through continued research, we hope to advance our understanding of the effects of a military career on brain health, and thus to foster improvements in diagnostics, therapeutics, and mitigation efforts. For more information, you can reach the team at 855-366-8824 or visit our website, researchbraininjury.org.